Welcome to the journey of discovering one of the most ancient and enigmatic cities in the world, Gaza. Gaza is not just a part of human history but also a deep spiritual symbol, referenced in the Bible and ancient writings. This city was once the center of the Canaanite civilization and the battleground between the Philistines and Israel. Gaza holds stories buried by time, along with memories of the boundary between the Promised Land and pagan forces. In this video, we will explore Gaza's turbulent history and understand why it continues to be a powerful reminder of resilience and faith through the ages. If you love history and spiritual mysteries, don't forget to like to support us and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss the upcoming exciting videos. Let's start our journey now. Gaza, with a history of more than 3,500 years, was once a settlement of the Canaanites and is one of the world's oldest continuously inhabited cities. Not only does it have historical significance, but it also carries deep sacred meanings. In sacred texts, Gaza is mentioned as a physical boundary of the Promised Land that God granted to the Israelites, and also as a symbolic boundary for the challenges and temptations from pagan forces. Gaza is first mentioned in the Bible as a crucial part of God's covenant with the patriarch Abraham, marking the sacred boundary of the Promised Land. This city, located at the southwestern edge of Canaan, was an important landmark along the Mediterranean. Gaza became a part of the divine promise, symbolizing the will of the Almighty and the deep connection between the Israelites and the Holy Land. Throughout history, control over Gaza has passed between the Canaanite tribes, the Philistines, the Egyptians, and Israel, each time leaving a new mark on the city's story. However, the spiritual meaning of Gaza has never faded. It remains a symbol of a boundary not only in geography, but also in faith, where generations are called to remember the covenant and their loyalty to God. Gaza is more than just a place. It represents the connection between humanity and divine will. Just as Abraham journeyed through Canaan as an act of faith, this city reminds us of the enduring values in our quest to seek and uphold the sacred Aegean coast. It is in Gaza that the vastness of the promise and the limits of covenant responsibility merge, forming an eternal symbol in the flow of human history. Beyond its role as a geographical and spiritual boundary in the Bible, Gaza also holds a deeper meaning as the origin of challenges that threatened the Israelites. The city is associated with famous figures in biblical legend, such as the giant warrior Goliath, a symbol of pagan power. Although Goliath is identified in the book of 1 Samuel as being from Gath, some other texts suggest he was from Gaza, reinforcing the image of the city as a Philistine stronghold where threats to Israel arose. In 2 Samuel 21:20-21, another giant from Gath, with 6 fingers on each hand and 6 toes on each foot, is described as a descendant of Rapha and a testament to the formidable forces that once opposed Israel. However, giants like Goliath represented not only physical strength, but also symbolized pagan opposition, standing in contrast to the Jewish faith. The battle between David and Goliath, in which a young boy defeated a giant warrior, is not just a story of bravery, but also illustrates the superior power of faith and righteousness in the fight against godless threats. Gaza also appears in another well-known story about Samson, the judge who was captured by the Philistines and brought to the temple of Dagon in Gaza to be humiliated. Despite being blind and imprisoned, Samson, in Judges 16:23-31, was granted strength by God to bring down the temple of Dagon, killing his oppressors and proving the power of divine will. This event affirms that even when faced with defeat, spiritual strength can reverse the situation and bring ultimate victory. Goliath and Samson are two opposing symbols, representing the larger conflict between the Philistines and the Israelites. Gaza, as the seat of Philistine power, is portrayed as a symbol of misguided worship and forces that oppose God. At the same time, these stories remind the Israelites that through steadfast faith and divine strength, they can overcome any adversity, no matter how great. Gaza is not merely an enemy stronghold, but also a place that bears witness to the power and loyalty to the one true God. Not only known as the origin of pagan threats, Gaza is also mentioned in the Bible as a landmark close to events that clearly demonstrate God's mercy and divine power towards Israel. This city was not the center of battles, but its proximity to sites of miraculous victories cemented Gaza's role in the righteous journey of the Israelites. In the book of Joshua, Gaza is described as being near the site of the Battle of Gibeon, where Joshua led the Israelites to defeat the Amorites with direct intervention from God. According to Joshua 10:11, as the Amorites fled, The Lord hurled large hailstones down on them, and more of them died from the hailstones than were killed by the swords of the Israelites. This was not merely a military victory, but a clear testament to divine protection, reinforcing the Israelites' faith in God's power during their most challenging times. Gaza reappears in the book of Joshua as the southern boundary of the subsequent conquests. After the victory at Hazor, Joshua led his army to eliminate the oppressive Canaanite forces, acting under God's command. As recorded in Joshua 10:40-41, Joshua conquered from Kadesh Barnea to Gaza and all the region of Goshen to Gibeon. These conquests not only expanded the territory, but also clearly established the boundaries that Israel, under God's guidance, had gained from evil forces. Gaza's role in these stories extends beyond being a mere geographical location. The city became a symbol of Israel's expansion and consolidation of power, thanks to God's grace. Gaza marks the endpoint of the land controlled by the Israelite civilization, a boundary beyond which pagan influence still persisted. Through the events near Gaza, the Bible affirms that righteousness, guided by faith and divine intervention, can overcome all trials and challenges from evil forces. Gaza is also known as a strategic trading center on the Mediterranean coast. With its prime location, Gaza connected major trade routes from Egypt to Mesopotamia and Mediterranean kingdoms, turning it into a bustling city with busy seaports. Merchants and travelers from all over gathered here, bringing wealth and cultural influence. However, this cultural diversity and international presence also posed spiritual challenges for the Israelites. Prophets like Elijah, Ezekiel, and Zephaniah often condemned Gaza for its role in spreading pagan worship through trade connections. As warned by the prophets, engaging in trade with Gaza not only brought economic benefits, but also led the Israelites to be tempted away from their faith in the one true God. Therefore, controlling Gaza was not only of military importance, but also symbolized the effort to maintain spiritual purity, resisting global secular influences. In modern history, Gaza's strategic role continues, though in a different context. Since 2005, Gaza has no longer been under Israeli control and has become part of Palestinian territory. After Hamas took control in 2007, this area became a flashpoint in the Israel-Palestine conflict, with ongoing clashes involving blockades, rocket fire, and military actions. For Israel, Gaza continues to symbolize a vulnerable region, facing strategic and spiritual challenges from beyond its borders. Today, the name Gaza not only evokes images of political conflict, but also serves as a reminder of the long-standing struggle to maintain Israel's unique spiritual identity amid its inevitable connection to the broader world. These issues remain central in both ancient and modern history, forming a complex link between the past and present of this land. The rich history of Gaza offers many profound lessons for our spiritual lives, especially in how we perceive the relationship between faith and divine blessings. In the Bible, God not only granted the Israelites the land of Canaan, but also extended his promise to farther territories, including areas marked by border cities like Gaza. However, over time, these boundaries were no longer maintained, not because of a lack of land or resources, but due to the decline in faith and unity within the community. Gaza, from a strategic border outpost, gradually became a symbol of lost power, reminding us that divine strength and blessings are not solely reliant on military or political power. Instead, they are maintained through loyalty, spiritual purity, and a united community devoted to God. As history has shown, only when the Israelites nurtured their faith could they fully live within God's promise. This lesson still resonates today. The political boundaries we see now, whether in Gaza or anywhere else, are merely faint shadows of what was destined in the divine will. To truly attain complete blessings, we must walk on the promised land of our lives with strong faith, rather than relying solely on secular solutions. Gaza reminds us that lasting prosperity does not come from material power, but from a deep connection with the will of the Almighty. Gaza, in ancient texts, is not only a symbol of conflict, but also associated with great spiritual challenges. Linked to enemies such as the idol Dagon, the city represents temptations that draw people away from their faith. Today, modern idols, wealth, power, ego, or hatred, promise satisfaction and success, but ultimately lead to emptiness and failure. Just as Dagon was overthrown, the false gods of today will also fall before the power of true faith. Like David, we must confront the giants of our lives with courage and righteousness. A stone guided by God can defeat any obstacle, no matter how formidable. Gaza is a powerful reminder that, even when surrounded by challenges, steadfast faith in God will help us overcome all adversities. Moreover, Gaza's multicultural history presents an important lesson about cultural exchange. The city's ports once welcomed merchants, sailors, and goods from around the world, bringing both wealth and new ideas, along with spiritual challenges. Although this exchange sometimes exposed the Israelites to spiritual challenges, a closed society cannot thrive. Like the spices and silk that once arrived at Gaza's ports, diversity brings richness if we hold on to our identity and faith. Ultimately, the lesson from Gaza shows us that a strong people with deep faith do not fear external influences, but can instead spread their light to change the world. Gaza reminds us that even when facing temptations and external pressures, faith is always the foundation for overcoming difficulties. Draw near to God, and He will draw near to you. We are called to uphold our covenant with the Heavenly Father and live according to the principles He has established. Gaza, for some, is the root of current territorial conflicts, while others argue that biblical claims are no longer relevant to the modern situation. Nevertheless, history has deeply embedded the religious significance of this land, not only for Israel but for the entire region. The prophecies, from Zephaniah 2:4 to Isaiah 11:14, portray Gaza as part of major end-time events, where conflict and hope intertwine. Ezekiel 25:15-17 even warns of Gaza's destruction, emphasizing that revenge and hatred only bring harm. Yet, beyond the bleak predictions, the prophecies about Gaza also serve as a powerful reminder of the potential for reconciliation. While the current situation in Gaza remains complex, with millions living in poverty and ongoing conflict, we must not lose hope. God is heartbroken to see children from both sides, Gazan and Israeli, suffer. If ancient hatred could be replaced by compassion, it would become a bridge to peace. Today, Gaza could once again become a gateway, not between ancient civilizations but between hearts yearning for reconciliation. Instead of confrontation, we call on political leaders to pave the way for negotiations and build understanding. With compassion, we can help alleviate the humanitarian crisis in Gaza and invest in efforts to build connections between the younger generations on both sides. As descendants of Abraham, both Muslims and Jews share a responsibility to unite, heal the wounds of the past, and cherish their shared heritage in the Holy Land. Gaza, once a symbol of conflict, can become a guiding light for lasting peace, just as ancient lighthouses once guided sailors home. Today, Gaza could once again become a gateway, not between ancient civilizations, but between hearts yearning for reconciliation. Instead of confrontation, we call on political leaders to pave the way for negotiations and build understanding. With compassion, we can help alleviate the humanitarian crisis in Gaza and invest in efforts to build connections between younger generations on both sides. Let this vision ignite our faith so that the light of hope continues to shine even in the darkest times. As the ancient divine promise tells us, if we do not give up hope, hope will never give up on us. May God bless and guide us all on this journey, now and forever. Thank you for joining us in exploring the spiritual history and valuable lessons from Gaza. Despite its turbulent past, we believe that the future can be built on the foundation of understanding, reconciliation, and compassion. Share your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think about the lessons from Gaza, and what hope do you have for a more peaceful world? If you enjoyed this content, don't forget to like, subscribe to our channel, and turn on notifications so you won't miss any upcoming videos. Let's spread the message of faith and peace to more people. May God bless us all, and see you in the next video.